What's going on, guys? This is Dave Heilman, aka Dynasty Dorks. This is 5 Minute Fantasy Football, presented to you by the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Today, we're going to look at the ADP, Underdog Fantasy Football's ADP. That's average draft position. Remember, this is the average draft position, meaning someone's drafting that person higher, someone's drafting that person lower. But this gives you an idea of market value. So if you really want to get that player, you're probably going to have to get them a little early. If you like the player just because of the value, you can always go straight to that price point. And then you know that if you get this player 2 or 3 rounds after they're being drafted, you're getting a massive value. And that's what fantasy football is about. The best teams are constructed by maximizing the value of your assets. The assets in this case are your picks. So right here, if you want to look at just quarterbacks, you just select quarterback and you can see 37, 40. That's the pick they're getting selected. And you can see the projection. So you should be picking someone at 37 that's going to get a lot more points than the person you're selecting at 65. But can you maximize the value a little bit when you get lower down the board? So you look at Kyler Murray's 300. Yet Joe Burrow's 319 projected points. If you feel like that's a fair projection, you get CJ Stroud that's only getting 7 more points, and he's being drafted 2 rounds higher. So Burrow, is perceived to be a bit of a value there. You look at Jordan Love here at 98. You're getting him a lot lower than you are Kyler Murray, who's 20, almost 20 spots higher. You got someone like Brock Purdy here, who's going 113. He's projected for the same, or he's actually more than Jordan Love. And so these are some values. Again, when you're looking at this, some other things you can look at are what are the trends. You're looking at running backs. Running backs, they tend to go a little bit later. You got 1, 2, 3 in the first round. You have 2 and 3 in the second round. And then you got 1, 2, 3 in the third round. So you have 3, 3, and 3. And you look at guys like Travis Etienne. I love Isaiah Pacheco's value, 218 projected points. You're getting him at the end of the 4th round. If he's your RB1, that is fine. That is a good pick, and you're able to stack up the rest of your roster. You go back down to some of these other spots, and you look at you get Rachaad White, 200 projected points, and right here he's at RB15, pick 64. And then again, when you're looking at this, the draft goes fast. You want to be able to look at some values and trends, and you say, okay, I like Ramondre Stevenson, but I don't like any of these running backs after him. Well, that's 82. You can look at the board and kind of make sure that, Ramondre Stevenson's the perfect number 2. I'm not going to wait till to this round, but I'm going to build the rest of my roster knowing that I like the running backs in this round, and I can wait on running back because you look at 81, 82, 84, 87, 88, and some of these guys, they call it the dead zone. Like, what's the difference between, let's say, what's the difference between a David Montgomery at 75 and a Zamir White at 88 or a James Conner at 94? If you can get 2-round value, you're going to take that. Raheem Mostert, he was one of the top. He had 21 touchdowns last year. He's being drafted almost in the hundreds. Trey Benson, he's a guy that could be a stud. You have Brian Robinson Jr. Austin Eckler seemed pretty washed last year. Brian Robinson Jr. has all the makings of having a great season. He almost cracked 200 points last year, and he's being almost forgotten. You could easily be your RB2, and you're getting him in the RB3, RB4 range. Going to Devin Singletary, he's a cheap workhorse back. You're getting him very far down the board. And again, when there's value later on, that you can wait. And receivers, kind of the opposite. Not only is there very high production, there's these guys, these CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, A.J. Brown. Those guys have league-winning upside. There's a reason they're going within the first 8 picks. But you got Puka Nacua, Garrett Wilson, also going in the first round. You're looking at all these receivers going in the first round. It tells you cannot wait on receiver. If you wait until the second round, Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be your wide receiver 1. I love Marvin Harrison Jr., but that's a very sketchy start. I would much rather start out with Justin Jefferson and then Marvin Harrison Jr. or go with, A.J. Brown and Marvin Harrison Jr. Then you have Drake London. You're seeing in the second round, here's your guys, your Brandon Ayuk, Nico Collins. If you want them to be your wide receiver 1, then there you go. But most people would rather have these guys as their wide receiver 2. So double tapping receiver to start your draft is the way to go. You go and get A.J. Brown or Justin Jefferson or Puka Nacua, swing back around, get Brandon Ayuk or Nico Collins, and you're off to a great start. But then you look at some of the value and say, okay, Tank Dell, do I really like him as my wide receiver 2? Well, he's going in the 3rd round. That's how fast this goes. You got T. Higgins in the 4th round, George Pickens. So again, looking at it going, I like these receivers in the 3rd. I don't like these receivers in the 5th. I like these running backs in the 5th. I don't like running backs in the 3rd. That's where you can get some values. People really slide these, veterans down. Keenan Allen, Chris Godwin are very good plays. You get them kind of late. Let's go to tight end position. Again, going back to projections. You're looking at tight ends. A guy like Evan Ingram has been a very solid option. And Evan Ingram is right here projected for 131 points. You get picked 78. You got Jake Ferguson, 135. They're all projected very similarly to a George Kittle that you're getting 2 rounds higher. They're actually they're right there with a Kyle Pitts that's going, ADP 60. And so Dalton Kincaid. All these guys are very similar range, and I would much rather take the receivers and the running backs in the 5th and 6th round and wait and get Evan Ingram or even Jake Ferguson back here. Probably Ferguson's my cutoff, but I think, getting your starting tight end at the 9th round, 8th round is a win. And you get these other spots. So again, maximize your value. This has been 5-Minute Fantasy Football, fantasy for the busy fantasy player. As always, good luck this season.